Before you say a single word, let me set the scene, because this week I have got you cold. Picture a ship, a starship, tearing across the black at a hair under the speed of light, the fastest thing you or I will ever dream up. And the pilot, bored, reaches out and flicks on the headlights. Now, plain common sense says that beam can barely drag itself out the front because the ship's already nearly matching light. So the light limps ahead at a crawl, gaining an inch a week. Yes? Tell me yes.
No. The beam leaps out ahead of that ship at the full speed of light. The whole figure, not a shaving off it, as though the ship were bolted to a launch pad. And here's the part that should stop your heart. The friend the pilot left behind, far back, drifting, going nowhere. That friend watches the very same beam sail past, at exactly the same full speed.
That's not possible. If the ship's nearly matching the light and the beam still pulls away at full tilt, then from the ship the light's doing the whole figure. Fine, I'll grant you that. But then the friend at the back has to see it doing that whole figure plus the ship's speed piled on top, which is faster than light's allowed to go. You can't have both. Somebody's arithmetic is broken, and I'll bet a pint it's yours.
Bet the pint? You'll lose it. Nobody's arithmetic is broken. It's that the arithmetic your gut swears by isn't the arithmetic this universe actually runs on. And you already met the edge of this last week. You just didn't lean on it.
Last week you drew me the cone, the light cone, that great flared shape reaching up out of every event, and you called it the boundary, the fence around what can ever touch what. Everything reachable lived inside it, everything forever out of reach lived outside, and the skin of the cone itself was light. You handed it to me, and you sent me home.
I did. And this week, we do the thing you've been itching to do since the very first night. We walk up to that fence, the speed of light itself, and we put our whole weight against it, and we shove. Hard. And we find out what shoves back, and why you never, ever get through it.
Then let's shove, and shove properly. I've been itching to lean on something with my whole weight since the very first week of all this. And you kept handing me rules and quietly taking my footing away instead.
We'll shove, I promise you, but not blind. First you tell me, out loud, exactly what you already believe about speeds, so that when it breaks, the two of us feel the precise moment it goes.
So we've got two puzzles hanging in the air already, and you've resolved neither, which I notice. One, how can two speeds refuse to add up like decent, honest numbers? And two, what in the world stops me, with my lovely fast ship, from finally catching a beam of light and pacing it? Keep both of those where I can see them, because I intend to hold you to them.
Both stay lit, and they turn out to be the same puzzle in the end. But you'll enjoy them more if I let you keep thinking there too. So begin where you're strongest, where you're actually right. Sell me the old rule.
Gladly, because this is the week I actually know the answer, and I strolled in glowing about it. Speeds add. That's the whole lesson. You want to go faster? Climb aboard something fast and then run along the top of it. You're standing on a moving train. You get up, you walk toward the engine. How fast are you going over the actual Earth? Your strolling speed plus the train speed. The two just stack. A child could give you that.
A child could. And the child's not wrong. Hear me say it plainly, not wrong. Bridges stand on that rule. Drop a coin on that moving train and it lands at your feet, not flung down the carriage, because the coin was already carrying the train's speed underneath it. Throw a ball forward from a moving car, the road sees car plus throw. Fire it out the back, the road subtracts. It has never once, in all of history, failed anyone who checked it.
Fire the ball out the back window instead, and it lands short of where you'd think because you subtract the throw from the car. I had every last bit of this cold by the age of 7, on a train, with a bag of sweets.
Every ball, every coin, every dropped sweet, landing exactly where the old rule swore it would, every single time. Which is precisely why what I'm about to do to that rule ought to feel like a small, quiet betrayal.
So why are you looking at me like that? You've got the face of a man about to whip a tablecloth off a set table. I've just told you the most reliable thing I know, speeds add, and you've stood there and agreed it's never once failed. That should be the end of the show. Roll the credits, thanks for coming. And instead you're smiling at me.
Because never once failed and true are not quite the same sentence. The whole episode is hiding in the gap between those two. And I'll warn you fair, Galileo and Newton are standing right behind you on this, and I'm about to correct all three of you at once.
Oh, here we go. Well, good luck to you, because those two are excellent company to have at my back. Galileo shut below the decks of his ship, working out that you can't tell you're moving at all when the sailing's smooth. Every game on board plays out just as it would in a still harbour. And Newton building a whole clockwork cosmos on top of that. If speeds just add was good enough for the pair of them, who exactly am I to flinch?
They were right. That's what makes this so delicate. The ship's motion simply added itself in, quietly, underneath everything, and never once showed its face. These were not fools. They were the opposite of fools. So understand the size of what I'm claiming. I'm not saying the old rule is false. I'm saying it's an approximation, wearing the costume of a law.
An approximation? All right, that's a careful word, and I heard you choose it. But an approximation of what? If walk plus train isn't the real rule, then there's a real rule hiding back behind it. And that real rule has to give almost exactly the same answer for slow things, or somebody would have caught it out centuries ago. So what does the real rule actually do that's different?
Here's its shape before a word of the why. You take your two speeds, the walk, the train, and you go to combine them. The old rule says, pile one straight up on top of the other, add them, there's your total. The real rule says, fold them together, and the total comes out a little less than the plain sum. Always a touch short.
A touch short. That's your grand correction, is it? After all that build-up, a touch?
At the pace of a train, a touch you could hunt for all your life and never once find. Smaller than any error you could ever measure. But near light's pace, a chasm. It's the same rule the whole way. It just bites softly down here and savagely up there.
Less than the sum? Now, hold on. So I'm on the train, walking forward, and the ground does not see clip plus walk. It sees clip plus walk minus some little skim off the top. Where does the skim go? Who's reaching in and taking a cut of my speed?
Nobody's taking a cut. And I want us clear of that idea straight away, because it sounds like there's a hand in the till, and there isn't. Nothing reaches in and shaves anything off. It's that the two speeds don't stack like bricks. They fold. And the folding always lands you a shade under where a plain stack would have put you.
But I've never once seen a shade under. Not on a train, not throwing a ball, not anything. If it's really there, why has nobody in the whole history of the world ever caught it happening?
Because at a train's pace, that shade is a skim off a skim off a skim. The error is finer than a mote of dust on a mote of dust. You'd have to measure a billionth part, and then some, to even know it happened. Every clock and every ruler ever built for ordinary life is 1,000 miles too clumsy to catch it. So it hid. For centuries, it simply hid.
So for the train, it's nothing. For a thrown ball, nothing. For an actual jet fighter, the fastest thing I can picture with a living person strapped inside it, still nothing?
Still, for anything you'd ever notice, nothing. The jet feels like the fastest thing in creation, and cosmically, it is a snail dragging itself across a leaf. The shortfall still hiding, still too fine to catch. You could fly every jet ever built and never once glimpse the rule you actually live under. It only wakes up when you go fast in a way you have never once been fast.
Toward light.
Toward light. And now the shortfall grows teeth.
Grows teeth, meaning the little hidden skim stops being little.
Stops being little. Stops hiding altogether. Down at a crawl, the total falls short by a whisker no instrument could measure. But start stacking real speed. Get just one of your two speeds up near light's own pace, and the shortfall swells right up. Fold two genuinely fast speeds together, and the total comes out dramatically under the plain sum. The faster you already are, the further short it falls.
Right, but here's my move, and I reckon it's a decent one. I don't much care how far short it falls, because I'll simply do it again. I fold two fast speeds, I land a bit under the sum, fine. But I'm still going faster than I was a moment ago, aren't I? So I fold another speed on top of that, and another. I just keep stacking. Sooner or later I bully my way past light, skim or no skim. I've got endless speeds to stack, and each one shoves me up a bit higher.
Each one shoves you up, by less. There's the trap, and it's a beautiful one. Yes, stack another speed, you go faster. Stack another, faster still. You never quite stop gaining, but every stack buys you less than the one before it did. The nearer you crawl to light's pace, the more you must throw at it to gain even a sliver more. You're climbing a hill that steepens exactly as fast as you climb it.
So the hill fights back harder and harder the higher up it I climb.
Harder with every single step you take. And the summit holds its height forever, up there, out over your head. You can climb toward it your whole life long, and it never once drops down to meet you.
So it's the worst gym membership in the entire universe. I pay more and more every single month, and I get less and less back for it. Heaving twice the weight to gain half the muscle, then 4 times the weight for a quarter of it, the exchange rate rotting the harder I train, and somewhere up ahead there's a number written on the wall that I sweat my whole life toward and never, ever touch.
That is, precisely, the universe's worst gym membership. Pour in more and more, get out less and less, forever, world without end. And the number on the wall is light's speed. Every stack drags your running total a hair nearer it, and the nearer you get, the more the next stack costs, and the less it pays out, so the total creeps up, and never crosses the line.
But why never? That's the bit that sticks in my throat. Creeps up and never crosses. Things that creep up usually get there in the end. That's what creeping does. If I keep adding even tiny amounts, tiny plus tiny plus tiny forever, doesn't all of that eventually pile up and carry me over the line?
Not when the amounts shrink fast enough. Picture walking to a wall by always stepping half of whatever distance is left. Half the way, then half of the rest, then half of that again. You get closer forever, and you never touch the wall because every step is smaller than the gap still remaining. Stacking speeds is like that. Each add closes part of the gap to light's pace and leaves a smaller gap behind, and the next add can only nibble part of that one. The gap never quite shuts.
Half, then half of what's left, then half of that. I could keep that up until doomsday and still die somewhere short of the wall, wouldn't I?
You would. And that dying on the way there isn't a defeat, though it surely feels like one. It's the honest shape of the whole business. Hold on to those half steps. They come back before the night's out.
So the shortfall isn't a flaw in the arithmetic, it is the arithmetic. The reason speeds don't simply add is the very same reason I can never reach light. It's one fact wearing 2 coats.
One fact, 2 coats. The way speeds fold instead of stacking is the exact thing that keeps light's speed uncrossable. If they stacked up like bricks, the way your gut wants them to, you'd sail clean past light on a fast enough train with a good enough throw off the front of it. But they don't stack like bricks. They fold, and the fold has light's speed built into its bones as the one line you draw near and never step over.
Built into its bones. Now that's Maxwell, isn't it? You keep saying light speed, as though the folding somehow already knows a special number. Where does it get that number from? Why light speed and not some other line drawn somewhere else entirely?
Because that number was already there, long before anyone was stacking anything. It's the one Maxwell found sitting quietly inside his account of electricity and magnetism, a single fixed speed that light simply travels at, baked into the fabric of the world. The folding didn't invent the line. Light speed was already the line. The folding just keeps to it. Everything that adds up around that one fixed pace.
All right, I've made a rough sort of piece with the shortfall. 2 speeds fold, they land short, the fold keeps me under light forever, and it costs me more and more to gain less and less. I'm bruised, but I'm walking with you. Except, you opened this whole show with something far worse than a shortfall. You said light speed plus my ship speed comes out to light, not a bit under the sum, exactly light, not moved at all.
I did. And that's a different animal altogether. The sharpest thing all night. So let's take this one slowly. Everything up to now, 2 ordinary speeds, both below lights, folded into something below lights. Short of the sum, yes, but still an honest ordinary speed. Now I change just one thing. One of the 2 speeds is no longer ordinary. One of them is light's own speed. And I ask you to fold that with the ship's speed. What falls out?
By your own logic, a bit under the sum, light speed plus the ship's minus some skim. So a touch less than light plus ship, which is still more than light on its own. So I'd be beating light, and I can already tell from your face that is not what you want me to say.
It is not. When one of the 2 speeds is light's own, the fold doesn't hand you a bit under the sum. It hands you light's speed. Back again, unchanged. You add the ship's speed to light's speed, and the answer that drops out the other end is light's speed. The ship's contribution, however monstrous, counts for nothing at all in the total. It is swallowed whole.
Swallowed. So it's not that light plus ship falls a little short, it falls all the way back down to plain light. Every last scrap of the ship's speed just vanishes into the sum, and the total doesn't budge one hair off light's own pace.
Doesn't budge one hair. And now walk it straight back to your cold open, because this, right here, is the whole ball game. The pilot flicks on the headlights. The beam leaves the ship at light speed. Of course it does, it's light. Now you'd swear that from the ground, the friend behind ought to clock that beam doing light plus ship. But light speed folded with the ship's speed comes back as light speed. So the friend clocks the beam at light speed too, the same figure the pilot sees. Nobody, anywhere, at any speed, ever catches light doing anything but its one fixed pace.
So the ship's speed just doesn't count. At all, however enormous it is.
Doesn't count for a thing. Pour in as much of it as you please, the biggest speed you can dream up, and the sum hands you back light speed, calm as you like, not a hair different, every single time.
Say it once more, slowly, because I felt something actually move in my chest just then. The pilot, screaming along at nearly light's own speed, sees the beam pull away at the full light speed, and the friend, sitting dead still, sees the same beam, the identical beam, also pull away at the full light speed. Not full minus the ship for the one and full for the other, the same whole figure for both of them.
The same whole figure for both of them. One beam, 2 watchers, moving wildly differently, and they clock it leaving at the very same speed. The pilot doesn't get to nearly keep up. That's the thing your gut is aching for, and it is exactly the thing that does not happen. There's no creeping up alongside the beam to pace it. Chase light as hard as you please, at a whisker under its own speed, and it still tears away from you at the full figure, as though you were standing perfectly still.
Standing perfectly still. Me, at very nearly light's own pace.
To that beam out front, yes. Nearly light and dead stopped look exactly alike to it. It can't tell the two of you apart at all, and it leaves the pair of you at the identical full figure, as if neither one of you had ever moved.
But hang on, are they both right? The pilot and the friend. They've measured the same beam and written down speeds that, by my old arithmetic, can't both be true at once. You're not telling me one of them's mistaken. You're telling me they're both correct, and my adding up is what has to give.
Both correct, neither one mistaken. Each measures that beam leaving at light's one speed, honestly, with good clocks and good rulers. And they simply disagree, wildly, about the ship's speed and about all the rest of it. What bends to keep the peace is everything you spent the last few weeks watching bend. Their clocks, their rulers, their very sense of now. The one thing that will not bend is light's speed. Everything else gives way around it.
That is genuinely rude, is what that is. I've done everything right. Fastest ship imaginable. I'm within a whisker of the beam. I have earned a bit of catching up, and the light just doesn't care. Pulls away flat out, like I'm parked in a lay-by. And if I floored it and drew even nearer still, the beam would still be leaving me at the full clip.
Still the full clip. You could draw so close to light's pace that your friend back home would weep at how nearly you'd matched it. And from where you sit, the beam out ahead is leaving at the whole light speed, serene, unbothered, exactly as fast as it leaves a man standing on a station platform. Your monstrous effort bought you nothing at all on that beam. Not a sliver of it.
Not a sliver. After all that fuel, all that roar, all that everything.
After all of it. The beam doesn't even acknowledge that you tried. It pulls away from your straining, screaming ship at the exact pace it pulls away from a man asleep in a deck chair.
This is the promise from week 2, isn't it? The one that sounded like a conjuring trick the first time you said it. Light runs at the same speed for everyone, no matter how they're moving. I nodded along back then like it was a fun little curiosity to tuck away in a drawer, and you've just reached into the drawer and turned it into a threat.
Into a threat. That's the move, precisely. Week 2, I stated it as a rule, and you filed it under strange facts about light. Tonight, it is not a filed-away fact. It is the reason you personally can never win the race. Light keeping one speed for everybody isn't a quirk off to the side of the story. It is the story. It's what makes the folding fold, what makes the sum fall short, what makes the ship's speed vanish into lights.
And that's Maxwell's number, one more time. The fixed speed he found waiting there inside his equations. That's the same for everyone speed. It's not that everyone just happens to agree on it by some fluke of luck. It's built to be the same. And this whole strange arithmetic bends itself out of shape to keep it the same.
Built to be the same. Einstein's move, the thing that set this whole series rolling, was to take Maxwell's fixed light speed dead seriously and ask what the world itself must be like for that to hold true for every observer at once. And this, the speeds that won't simply add, the sum that falls short, the ship's speed swallowed whole, this is the world that answers. All of it is only light keeping its one pace for everyone, followed out honestly to the bitter end.
So there are 2 faces to this folding, and they're different beasts. Face 1, 2 ordinary speeds, both under light. Fold them, land a bit under the sum, still safely under light. Face 2, one of them is light speed. Fold it and light speed comes calmly straight back, untouched. Same folding, two faces.
Same folding, two faces. And the two of them share one soul. Whatever you feed in, start below light's pace, you stay below it. Start at light's pace, you stay exactly at it. There's no stacking, no chain of trains upon trains that carries you from below the line up over it, and none that knocks light off its one pace. The line holds, from both sides at once.
The line holds. And you keep calling it a line, but I've been picturing a wall this whole time. A great brick wall at the end of the speedway, light speed painted across it, and me flooring the ship straight into it. And what? I splatter? Is that the picture? I hit the wall and something terrible happens to me.
No, and I want to take that wall clean away from you, because it's the wrong picture and it's been lying to you all night long. You don't hit light speed. There is no wall to hit. Think of a horizon instead, that line far out where the sky comes down to meet the sea. You can sail toward it all day, all your life, and never reach it. You never crash into the horizon. You draw nearer, and it keeps its distance from you forever.
Sail toward it all your life and never once arrive. That isn't a wall, that's a life sentence, with the sea for a cell.
A gentle sentence, though. Nothing strikes you. Nothing shatters. No alarm ever sounds as you close in. You simply, quietly, never get there. And the getting closer never once stops feeling like progress.
A horizon, so there's no moment of impact, no barrier I smash into and shatter against. It's just always a little further on, however far I sail toward it.
Always a little further on, and it's gentler and stranger than a wall, both at the same time. A wall stops you. This doesn't stop you. Nothing halts the ship. Nothing shoves back with a bang. No crunch. No edge to strike. Speed up your whole life if you like. Nothing dramatic ever happens to you. It's only that the destination keeps its distance. You approach light speed the way you approach the horizon, endlessly, smoothly, and you never once stand upon it.
But that's almost worse than a wall, isn't it? A wall I could at least rage at. It's a thing, it's solid, it's honest about stopping me. This one I can pour speed into forever, genuinely forever, keep gaining, keep climbing. And the whole while the line I want slides on ahead of me, and I close the gap, and the gap simply never shuts.
Never shuts. And here's the part I love most. It isn't that anything is stopping you. Nothing forbids the last step. It's that there is no last step to take. The arithmetic of folding speeds has no room in it for you to arrive. Remember the half steps to the wall. Each one closes part of the gap and leaves a smaller gap behind. Do that forever and you get infinitely close and you never land. Not because a guard turns you back at the gate, because the sum itself simply never adds up to arrival.
No last step at all. Not a step I'm forbidden to take, a step that plain isn't there to be taken.
That simply isn't there. Nothing to forbid you, nothing to smash yourself against. Just no final inch anywhere in the whole sum. You can spend everything you've got, and there's always a little further still to go.
So when people say you can't go faster than light, the honest version of it isn't a barrier stops you. It's you can chase it forever and never once catch it. Those two sound almost the same, and they are not the same feeling at all. One is a slammed door. The other is a shore that keeps on receding.
A shore that keeps receding. And that difference is the whole dignity of the thing. There's no prohibition anywhere. Nobody nailed up a sign. It's the plain shape of how motion adds together in this universe. A shape that lets you get as close as you please and quietly withholds the final inch. Not out of any spite, out of arithmetic. You spend forever approaching. You never arrive. And there's something almost tender in that, once the outrage has burned off.
The outrage has not burned off, just so it's on the record. Give me a minute with it, but fine. Light speed isn't a barricade, it's a horizon I sail toward forever. Which raises the obvious thing, doesn't it? Light gets there. Light travels at that speed, right now, this instant, with no sailing toward about it at all. How does light stand on the horizon that I can never reach? What has light got that I haven't?
The best question you could possibly ask, and it opens the cleanest split in all of this. What has light got that you haven't? It's what light hasn't got. Light has no mass, none at all, and a thing with no mass doesn't sail toward the horizon. It's already there from the first instant it exists. It never had a choice in the matter. Massless things travel at light speed, full stop, and they can do nothing else whatsoever.
Nothing else, meaning it can't slow down. Light couldn't dawdle even if it fancied a rest, a little sit down halfway to somewhere.
It cannot dawdle. It cannot sprint. Light's speed is not light's top speed. It's light's only speed. A massless thing has exactly one pace available to it, and that pace is the horizon itself. You will never find a beam of light loafing along at half the clip, catching its breath by the roadside. There is no slow gear. There is no fast gear. There is one gear, and it's forever locked into it. Everywhere. Always.
One gear then, no neutral, no brake, no top end to reach for.
None of them. None at all. A thing with no mass has nothing in it to slow down, and nothing in it to push harder against. The one pace isn't its choice, and it isn't its limit. It's the whole of what the thing actually is.
That is such a strange way to exist. I spend my whole life at every speed there is, dead still, strolling, sprinting, whatever I fancy that morning. Light's got one setting, and it's welded there. So the horizon I can never reach is the only place light is ever allowed to be. We're opposite problems, light and me. I can be anywhere but there. Light can be nowhere but there.
Opposite problems. That's it exactly. And the hinge between the two of you is mass. You've got it. Light hasn't. The very thing that lets you loaf at a stroll, or a stroll and a half, that lets you choose your speed at all, that same thing is what bars you from the horizon. Mass keeps you off the line. And the very same mass is what buys you the freedom to sit at every other speed there is.
So anything at all with mass, me, the ship, a thrown ball, one of those tiny little electrons. None of us ever reaches light speed. Ever. However hard we get shoved.
Ever. However hard. Take an electron, about as light as a thing with mass can get, and shove it inside one of those great machines built to shove things for a living, mile after mile of shoving. You can get it heartbreakingly close to light's pace, far closer than you'd ever believe, and it never arrives. Shove twice as hard, a little closer, never there. That electron has spent its whole existence sailing at the horizon, and it has never once stood on it, and it never will.
Closer than I'd ever believe, you said, but never, not once, actually on it.
Never once on it. Nearer every single day of its existence, gaining and gaining and gaining, and the last step simply never arrives. It's the very same horizon we've been circling all night. Only now it's wearing an electron.
And that's the same never as the horizon. The approach forever, never arrive, never. It's not that the electron slams into a wall at the last second. It just keeps closing the gap, and the gap just keeps on not shutting.
The very same never. And notice there's no middle ground anywhere in this. Any mass at all, even a feather's worth, even a crumb, and you're on my side of it, forever barred from the line. No mass at all, and you're stuck on the line, unable to leave. Nothing straddles the two. You're one kind of thing, or you're the other, sorted by that single question. Have you got mass or haven't you?
It's oddly beautiful, the sheer tidiness of it. But now I have to press you because you set this up too neatly. You shove that electron harder and harder near the horizon, and it barely gains. So where is my shoving going? I'm pouring in genuine effort. The engines roar, the fuel burns. It's hardly speeding up at all. Something is eating the difference. What?
Ah, now you're pressing me exactly where you should press, and I'm going to half refuse you, and you should let me. You're right that it can't have simply vanished. Effort doesn't evaporate. That's the one law you've still got left standing tonight, and it's a good one. So hold the shape of it. As you near the horizon, your shove buys less and less speed, as though something were quietly soaking it up. Something is soaking it up, and where it goes turns out to be the most famous thing in all of physics. But not tonight.
Not tonight. You keep saying that in the exact voice of a man sitting on something far too big for the room.
Because I'm sitting on it, and it is far too big for tonight. It's the whole reason there's a next week waiting for us at all. The answer needs its own hour just to breathe.
You are a tease, and I resent it deeply. Fine, parked, but I'm not letting you park it clean, because it's the loose thread of the whole night and we both know it. Massless things live on the horizon and can't ever leave it. Massive things sail toward it forever and can't ever reach it. And the reason my shoving stops paying out in speed is under lock and key till next week. Is that the whole split then?
That's the whole split. Two kinds of thing in the whole cosmos, and one locked drawer between us and next week. And I'll close off one last temptation, since it always comes up sooner or later. There's no secret faster than light express service either, no clever trick that vaults a massive thing clean over the horizon, no shortcut hiding round the back. The line is where it is. It holds from both sides, and everything we have ever honestly measured has kept to it, without one single exception, ever.
All right, I walked in here tonight dead certain I'd be teaching you about speeds adding up, and instead I've learned that my ship can chase a beam forever and lose, that I'm personally barred from the one speed light is stuck at, and that my hardest shoving vanishes into some place you won't even name till next week. It has been a humbling sort of hour. Is there more, or do you finally let me go and lick my wounds?
One more thing, and this one isn't a humbling, it's a gift. Everything so far has been about how motion keeps the speed you want just out of your reach. This last piece is about how motion shows itself, how a thing moving toward you or away from you quietly tells on itself in the very light it sends. Motion has a color. Did you know motion has a color?
Motion has a color. No, I did not know that, and I'm suspicious of you the instant you say it in that particular voice. Color's a property of a thing. A red apple is red, a blue sky is blue, end of story. How on earth does moving change what color a thing is? That sounds like plain nonsense in a nice coat.
Start with a sound you know in your bones, then not a color. An ambulance, siren wailing, tearing straight toward you down the road. As it comes on, the pitch sits high, keen, urgent, climbing, and the very instant it passes you and starts racing away, the pitch drops. That long, falling note you've heard 1,000 times in the street. Same siren, same note leaving the horn the whole time. But you hear it high coming, low going. What's happening to the sound?
The waves get squashed up in front and stretched out behind, don't they? As it comes at me, it's driving into its own sound, crowding the waves close together ahead of it, and crowded waves are the high note. And behind it, as it flees, the waves get spread out thin and long, and stretched waves are the low note. So the pitch drop is the siren driving through its own sound, bunching it up ahead of itself and trailing it out behind.
Crowded up close ahead of it, stretched long and thin out behind. You've carried that sound in your ears your entire life, every ambulance on every street, and never once stopped to name what it was.
And now you're winding up to tell me that my eyes have been doing the very same trick, in colour, this whole time, and that I've walked past it every single day without the faintest idea.
That's it, exactly right. Waves crowded close when the source bears down on you. Waves drawn long and thin when it flees. Now, light is waves too, and light does the identical thing. A source of light rushing toward you crowds its light waves short. A source rushing away stretches its light waves long. The only difference between light and the siren is what your senses go and call it. Crowded and stretched sound, your ear calls high and low. Crowded and stretched light, your eye calls colour.
Because colour just is the length of the light wave. That's the thing you drummed into me weeks back and made me repeat until I believed it. The long waves are the reddish end, the short waves the bluish end. So if a source coming toward me squeezes its light waves short,
then a source coming at you has its light shoved over toward the blue. And a source fleeing away from you has its light stretched, dragged over toward the red. There are the words you'll hear people use for it. A thing racing away is red-shifted, its light reddened by the stretching. A thing bearing down on you is blue-shifted, its light blued by the squeezing. Same music as the siren, only now the falling note is a reddening and the rising note is a bluing.
red-shifted going away, blue-shifted coming toward. It's the siren all over again, only played out for the eyes now instead of the ears.
The very same music on a different instrument. Your ear calls the change pitch, your eye calls it colour. Underneath, it is one single thing, waves crowded or waves stretched, and nothing else about it changes at all.
Oh, that is lovely. That is genuinely lovely. So the light itself carries the news. I don't have to watch a star for a whole year to work out whether it's drifting closer or further. I just look at its colour, whether it's pulled toward red or pulled toward blue, and the light has already told me which way it's travelling.
Written right there in the shade of it. A star drifting away from us has its light quietly reddened. One drifting toward us quietly blued. You read the shift, and you know which way it's headed, and you can even read from how far it's shifted how briskly it's going. A small shift for a gentle drift, a great one for a real rush. All of it, without ever once watching it crawl across the sky. The light tells you first.
So the whole universe is the world's biggest gossip. Everything that so much as moves is snitching on itself in colour. Ooh, she's coming closer, look at her. She's gone all blue about it. And off he goes, there he goes, reddening as he leaves the room. You cannot so much as twitch in this cosmos without the light telling tales on you behind your back.
Not a twitch. Though let me keep you honest on one point, because it's a common slip. This tell, the reddening and the bluing, it's about relative motion, plain and simple. You and the source drawing together or drawing apart. That is all it is. Coming at you blue, going away red, and if you both happen to drift the same way at the same clip, keeping perfect station with each other, there's no shift at all, because between the two of you, there is no coming and no going.
Relative motion. So it's not that the star is really red, and I'm just seeing it a bit wrong. It's that the closing or the opening of the gap between the two of us is what does the squeezing and the stretching. Gap shrinking blue, gap growing red, gap holding steady, no shift at all. The colour's about the two of us together, never the star on its own.
The gap is the whole story. And I want to fence one thing off carefully here, because people trip badly on it. All of this is a source and a watcher moving through space toward or away from each other. Ordinary, everyday motion. It is not that other thing you may have half heard whispered about, the great slow stretching of the whole cosmos itself. That's a different story, a heavier one, for a much later night, and it is simply not what's happening here.
Noted. Local coming and going, not the big cosmic business, whatever that turns out to be when we finally get round to it. But hold on, does the colour trick have the same rudeness baked into it as everything else has had tonight? If a source flees me at nearly light speed, does its light just redden without any limit at all? Or does the horizon reach its long arm in here too?
The horizon reaches in everywhere. Push the fleeing faster and faster, and the light reddens further and further, stretched longer and longer. But you never quite manage to stretch it away to nothing, the same way you never quite reach the line itself. It's the same shape in a fresh coat. You close on the extreme forever and never land upon it. The colour drifts redder and redder toward a red you can never quite reach. The same way the ship draws nearer and nearer a line it can never quite touch. Even the colour of motion keeps to the horizon. Everything tonight has, in the end.
Even the colour of it has the horizon hiding down inside. Of course it does.
Of course it does. How could it not? It's all the one fact, the whole night through, just forever turning up at the door in a different hat and daring you to recognise it.
Everything's the same rule in a different hat, isn't it? Speeds folding short, the ship swallowing its own headlights, me chasing the beam till I'm grey, the electron that won't quite arrive, the star reddening as it flees. It's all one single fact underneath. Light's got one speed for everyone. And every strange thing you've shown me tonight just falls straight out of that one stubborn fact.
One stubborn fact, and a whole world hanging off it. That's the thing worth carrying home in your coat pocket. It isn't a grab bag of separate little weird rules. It's a single fixed speed for light, the same for every watcher alive, and then the honest working out of everything that simply must be true for that to hold. The folding, the horizon, the split between the massless and the massive, the colour of coming and going, all of it, one thread.
One thread. I can live with that. It's a great deal cleaner than the mess I walked in carrying. But you've left a loose end flapping, and you know it, and I know it. You made me park it, and I parked it, but it's still there, twitching. The shoving. All night I've leaned on this speed limit with every ounce I've got. More push, more push, more push. And gained barely a whisker of speed for the whole effort.
Go on then. Pull the thread.
Well, where did it go? All that effort. I didn't just imagine pushing. The engines roared, the fuel burned. I poured genuine work into that electron, into that ship, and near the horizon it barely sped up at all. And effort doesn't vanish. It's the one thing in this whole world I'm still sure of. The one thing you haven't managed to take off me tonight. It does not vanish. So if it didn't turn into speed, what in the world did it turn into?
That is the question the whole of next time is built to answer. And you've asked it exactly the right way round. Not, why won't the thing go faster, but where did my effort go if not into speed? Because you're dead right that it can't have simply vanished. It went somewhere. It turned into something.
Into what? Don't you dare park it a second time.
I'll give you the shape of it, and no more, because it truly earns its own full night. The effort you pour in near the horizon doesn't die, and it doesn't turn into speed. It turns into something the thing carries along with it. It piles up inside it, quietly, while the speedometer barely so much as twitches. And that something has a name you've heard your whole life and never once properly met.
Which is?
Energy. The shove you couldn't turn into speed, you were turning into energy the entire time. And the punchline, the one waiting for us in the week to come, is where that energy ends up living. It ends up living inside the mass itself.
Inside the mass? You said that very quietly indeed, and I've learned over the whole course of tonight not to trust you an inch when you drop your voice like that.
I drop it for the big ones. And this is the biggest of the whole lot. But it keeps, safe and asleep and exactly where we left it, till next week.
In the mass. The mass I've spent all night treating as nothing but the thing that keeps me off the horizon.
That very same mass. It turns out mass and energy aren't two separate ledgers you keep in two separate books. They're one thing wearing two faces, and there is a single short line, the most famous line in all of physics, that ties the two of them together. You've seen it on a t-shirt, you've seen it on somebody's coffee mug, and you have never once, I'd wager, felt in your gut why it simply has to be true.
The most famous equation in the world. I know the one you mean. Everybody knows the one. And you're telling me it's the plain answer to a plain question, like, where did my shoving go?
It's precisely that answer. All night you leaned on the limit, and the limit gave you nothing back in speed. And the whole time, it was handing you the receipt in another currency. Next week, we cash it. We find out that the energy you couldn't spend on speed went straight into mass, and that mass, sitting perfectly still, doing nothing at all, is energy asleep.
Energy asleep in mass. That's a beautiful phrase, and I don't trust your beautiful phrases anymore. They always end up costing me something before the night's out. But, all right. So tonight's whole frustration, all that pushing that bought me nothing, that wasn't a dead end after all. It was a door.
It was a door. Every wasted shove tonight was quietly filling a tank you didn't even know you were carrying. That's the gift hidden inside the horizon. You can't beat the speed limit, not ever, but the trying is never once wasted. It all goes into mass, and mass, it turns out, is the most concentrated store of energy there is anywhere in creation.
The most concentrated store of energy there is, sitting perfectly still, looking for all the world like nothing whatsoever.
Like nothing at all. A pebble on the beach, a paperclip in a drawer, you yourself in that chair, each one a deep hush laid over an almighty roar. And when we next meet, at long last, we lift the lid and listen to it.
So let me hold what I actually carry out of here tonight before you send me off into the dark. Speeds don't simply add, they fold, and they fall short, and they never carry me over the line. Add anything at all to light speed, and light speed comes calmly back, untouched. The limit's no wall, it's a horizon I sail toward forever and never touch. Light lives right on it because it has no mass. I never will, because I do. And everything that moves paints its own motion in colour. Red going, blue coming.
That's the night. Every bit of it, one thread. And a locked drawer with the most famous equation in the world asleep inside it. Say good night, and next time, we wake it.
The loose end turns out to be the whole of the week ahead. The effort didn't vanish, it just went to sleep. In mass.
It went to sleep in mass. Good night, for now.
Good night then. I came in swaggering, dead certain that speeds just add, and this would be the easy week, the one I could have phoned in. And I'm leaving unable to catch a beam of light no matter what I ride, barred forever from the one speed light itself can't leave, and oddly, quietly moved by a horizon I'll chase my whole life and never once reach. And somewhere out there in the dark, every hopeless shove I made tonight is turning, slowly, into the most famous thing in all of physics. Wake it gently for me next week. I'll be right here in this same chair, waiting to find out where the effort went.